Good day, dear friend. Your contribution to the growth of our kingdom is invaluable. Thank you for your devotion.
What in darnation's going on here? Holy cannoli. Dunk or slam. Thank you very much for the huge, massive raid. Welcome, Raiders. We're just kind of getting ready here. My name's cnotbusch. I make 1080 Raiders from Dunk or Slam. What is Dunk or Slam stream? My name's cnotbusch. I make custom sculptures here, start to finish. We're about to do this. This is a piece I have made, and I kind of showed how to. It's on Sundays we do class where I teach how to sculpt, and this is kind of the culmination of the class where I'm actually gonna be showing how to paint this piece today. So this is an ongoing thing every Sunday. I stream throughout the week, but normally I work on like commissioned works of various kinds. On Fridays, we do something called Troll Heads, which is people can commission a head. We did this last Friday. Illidan, this horned female character, and then let's see, a monkey. But everything's traditionally done out of clay. I'll show you guys something a little bit more finished. I have a. Actually, I wonder, did the resin? Yeah, look at that. The resin firmed up. Nice. Let me show you a piece that's kind of pretty close to the finish line, actually. It's a skeleton pirate piece. It's an original character of mine. It has lights. Let's see here. It's not completely done yet, but we have you see how the eyes light up on the characters. 1 second. There we go. The captain still has to be plugged in, but he has a rib cage that lights up, and his eyes light up too. And we just did the water out of resin, so you can see it's actually translucent here. Yeah. That happened on when did we do that? Thursday night. But yeah, so I'm just getting set up here. So thank you very much everybody for joining. I appreciate it. All right, let's see here. I guess I could show you this dragon piece here too. Most of the time you guys will see sculpting, but occasionally I do painting as well. My wife takes on a lot of the paint work. Here's a dragon sculpture. This is our current Friday piece. That's in the works. Let's see. No, the chess set is ongoing still. So we are almost finished. We got just the larger pieces on the bad guy side of the board. So, but it's still in the works. We work on that one on Tuesdays. So. You're right. It is there's a lot of variety as far as how long something can take. But I'd say a typical 1 hour or 1 character piece with like a base and everything is about 180 to 250 hours usually. But that's like the larger 1 character pieces, you know, with LED lights and you know, all that fun stuff. This piece has lights too. I don't know if I have a plug-in for it. Or a robot. Let's see here. This plug-in should work. So yeah, we're just kind of chilling. Today is just like I said, it's a class. It's a start to finish tutorial class that we're kind of seeing the end of. It plugs in so right here. Get some brushes, some paints. Okay, I have to plug this in here too. There we go. Now he has a light in his back as well. Okay, you know what, let's get the shirt camera going here. Let's see. So he's gonna have like this furnace glow going on, but we still have more work to do with that to make it look more so that the light's not jumping out of here so harshly. And then out of his chimney pipe we're gonna add some mixed media like smoke, probably using cotton and stuff like that. And then on his backpack, he's got light in here too, which is unplugged currently because I had to steal this part right here for down here. But yeah. And what I'm gonna do here is this is gonna be like a nice blue monitor light, and I'm going to print off on a transparency the black part of the screen, almost like a DOS computer screen. And that's basically it. And he's going to be swinging a grappling hook, rope with grappling hook, and then the rope will go here. And he'll have like a big ream of it there. So it's just funny. I started playing a game this weekend called Peak. I don't know if you guys ever played it, but I get Peak vibes from this robot now. Kind of this mountain climber exploring robot. So. But yeah, that's the basic rundown. We're gonna get started here today. So thank you everybody for joining, and those of you that are staying, welcome on in. Got my brushes here. I need to get some water going. Peak, yeah, it's like a co-op mountain climbing game with like all kinds of different like consumables and stamina management and all that fun stuff. Any chance we can set the time to 9 so I don't have to refresh over and over? Wait, what are you trying to do here? Can you read my message? Are you, Levita? Are you really trying to type a message when the chat's moving that fast and giving me a hard time about us? Any chance we could set the time to 9 so I don't have to refresh over and over? Oh, okay. What, for class? Watermelon. Yeah, I wasn't planning on starting at 9. I wanted to start earlier. Just had a lot of things getting in the way. So we'll just say I was shooting for 8, but plans changed. Okay. So I think I'm gonna go over. So today we're gonna go over the painting of the robot, and I'm gonna go over kind of a lot of the metal paint stuff. Let me just get my references pulled up and then we'll get started here. You know, I think for like color style, I'd like to look at robots like Fallout style is kind of what I'm going for. So, some parts that are still kind of painted, but a lot of areas where like the rust is showing through. So, hold on, let me go get a painting palette. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Got what we need now. Okay, I got painting palette, some paper towel, couple water, and some brushes. And of course, some paints. Let's kind of go over some of the colors we got picked out here. I usually just have my kind of color selection in front of me. Pine green. And we're using mostly, these are Reaper Miniatures paints. But I do have some quick shades by the Army Painter. see. Oh yeah, and then this is a really nice one to have for the robot. This is a rust effect paint. So, oh yeah, let me see here. Let's turn this filter off. There we go. Okay, let's see what colors we got. Here's a gunmetal gray. Metallics. Definitely going to be using some metallics here. A brass. Those are made by Model Color. But Reaper paints will work pretty nice too. Aged pewter. Nice. Strong tone. We have I usually like getting a large quantity of black. So I got this Creatix opaque black. Okay. Let's begin. Let us begin. I sculpted a robot who actually does most of the sculpting for me as I sleep. All right, first we're gonna start with black. I got a gunmetal gray and an aged pewter. That's what we're gonna begin with. So I'm guessing T Dollar had a role to play in this ridiculously large raid. Is that correct? Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, we don't need the base today. We're just going to be working on the actual robot itself. Let's take the backpack off. Make this more manageable. Put this off to the side. Okay, good. Now it's worth mentioning if there's areas of the sculpture you've handled quite a bit, that you doing some sort of a wipe with alcohol on those areas might be beneficial. On here, I think most of the time I was holding the metal, so I don't really need to worry about it. It just, removing like the oils from your skin that might be on the surface, preventing the paint from getting a good hold. Three cheers for T Dollar. He's the reason we raided. Nice. Thanks a lot. Well, I do appreciate you guys doing that. So what is this Master of Dunkus? What does he stream? Oh, I have my dashboard open. There, dunk or slam. Noita. He plays a game called Noita. Really? I never heard of this game. Well, let me see. Noita game. Oh, interesting. Roguelike in which every pixel is simulated. Magical action roguelike set in a world where every pixel is physically Simulated. Fight, explore, melt, burn. Okay. Hey, 60% off on our sale right now. Interesting. Okay. So it's just, is he a variety streamer, or it's just this is the main jam here? Okay. So first step is we're going to paint. There's two ways I like to do metal. One is where we start with black. So let's do that first. Mainly Noita with variety knights. Okay. Wow. That's quite a following for a Noita. I'm guessing you guys are all Noita players as well. Am I saying that right? It's so crazy how big the world is, and just how many, just different pockets of different things there are. I always love that. Okay. So I'm thinking the areas where kind of like where there's a lot of these like these under areas or the in between spots, we're gonna paint with black. So let's get in there with our nice, whatever your strongest black is usually what you want to use. Something that will cover well. I can actually upgrade my brush size here too. That's a little bit too small. Maybe like this. No, you don't need to prime this material. The color is already a neutral color, and the paint sticks to the clay really nicely. So there's no need for primer. Usually you would prime something for those two reasons, to get the paint to stick or to set the tone or get everything to kind of be in a neutral color or same starting point. This is made out of a material called Cos clay. It's a newer kind of polymer clay. Now, it's important. The most important thing about these beginning layers is that we absolutely get total coverage and kind of an overlap. So even in areas like, I don't plan that this area will be started with black, but I do a little bit of an overlap just to ensure coverage here. I think this whole lower part here is going to be started with black. I really want to focus on showing kind of the two methods for the metallics, in maybe one area where we're going to have color. Because I don't want this robot to be like it's all metal. There's going to be parts of it that look like they were painted, at least at one point. So the old dragon incense burner, huh? An ashtray for mom or dad. Well, you know, if it's something you want to start learning, I do have these tutorial video series are available on my YouTube in playlist format. So there's 3 classes so far, this one being the 3rd, where you can step by step follow along. Of course, you can tune in anytime here and ask questions. Yeah, Reaper is good for everything. I just have a limited paint selection right now because the missus is painting as well. So, but yeah, Reaper Black. Everything with Reaper is good. You might see me whip out some other brands here and there, but it's mostly like stuff that I'm just trying to use up. Like this black right here actually came with my airbrush. There was a little kit of paint that came with it. And the black is actually pretty decent, so I just been kind of using it up. Gotta love freebie stuff. Now the Creatix black used to cover really good, but then I think they changed the formula because like now it doesn't seem to cover as nice as it used to. I think they lessened the pigmentation, unfortunately. So it's really important that you kind of turn the piece and look at it from different angles because there's always these little kind of like spots hiding under the shadows and stuff. All right, I'm going to use that thinner brush to get in between here into this area here. With the different colored blacks or what? It doesn't really matter. You can just use any one of them would work. Don't stress so much about color choice because it's very rare that there's actually a wrong choice when it comes to color usage. It's totally cool to apply a layer of color and think, you know, that you might not like that layer, and then you just layer on top of it. You know, you don't really never have to feel like you add a color and then you're like, oh, I messed it up. Need to start over. Just keep layering, right? Sometimes that'll happen. You'll start off painting something. You'll lay down a layer, not really like how it's looking, and then you continue to layer on top of it, and that color that you originally didn't like ends up being part of a layering sequence that creates a look that you do like. So it becomes ends up becoming a crucial step to getting a certain look. Don't worry about painting the metal. The metal we have to treat a little bit differently because acrylic will not stick to the metal. So what we can do is I'll go get some enamel paint. There's the model paints made by test stores. That's called enamel. That will stick to metal, and then this paint can stick to that. So I will paint the metal first with the enamel paint, being very careful not to get it onto the polymer, and because it does not dry on the polymer clay. So then once that's painted with the enamels and it dries, then we can go over and actually paint it with the acrylics. So okay, let's go in here and paint this area too. I'm just gonna cover this whole area down here. And a perfectly acceptable approach is to just do this with the whole thing. I don't think I will, but that would work, where you would base coat it black and then we just build up, or we're going to bring back in the highlights with dry brushing. I want to show you the other method with kind of painting it metallic first and then using washes. Let's see, this whole area can be colored black. What's nice when you base coat with the black too is if you miss an area that doesn't get any color, it's already base coated as darker kind of a darker color that will kind of blend in behind the scenes, so you don't have to worry about that as much. Hey, nice. There you go. Yeah, painting's become a big thing. I think definitely with the advent of 3D printing and just like the miniature community really taking off. Like, there's so much to learn out there with techniques and different ways of doing things. That's what's nice when an art form or something really gets popular. Hey, Pio. 3D prints would need a primer usually, yes, because they are printed with resin or anything made out of resin. Need a base layer going so the paint will want to stick to it. Okay, let's see. Very good, very good. Not sure what color will do the cloak yet. Let's see, painting black in here. We're about to bounce back to the first area we painted black. Once it's fully dry, we can do the next step. Do I still get down with For Honor? Oh no, I haven't played that game in a long time. Not for a while. Can't say that I do. Certainly was a fun game while it lasted. Yeah. It was definitely some good times. Yeah, thanks, Howie. Appreciate that. I'm not being worried about getting paint in an area I don't really want it right now. It's just the beginning layer. More important to get the paint everywhere that you need it to be, and not as important to not get it in areas you don't need it to be. Right. Hey, what's up, Bubba? Well, we're beginning the paint job to our robot here. This is a robot I sculpted. It's part of a class we're teaching how to sculpt a robot. Just beginning the painting process. I can only imagine having this backpack attached, how much it would have not been fun to paint. Also, having the character removable from the base. If remember, we were contemplating making it permanent, which would have been a pain. I'm going to always get black into these really hard to reach areas, like on the inside of his hand there. We're just going to really get black inside there. Or any sort of darker color, really. Could be a really dark gray. Just makes it so we don't have to deal with that area. Kind of paint do I use? It's an acrylic paint. Usually, mostly Reaper Miniatures brand. That's mostly what I use. There's a few other kind of brands that I have, but mostly Reaper miniatures. Okay, same with these this spot under the tubes here. We're just gonna get this all covered with black. Really difficult. Pretty much any of the hard to reach spots, we're gonna base coat black. The further you get into the paint job, the harder it is to reach those spots. So it's best to get them coated now. When we can be sloppy right now, so it's easier to kind of do that. Later on, when things tighten up, it becomes much harder to deal with those areas. Does the texture or paint that your brush leaves on the flat parts matter at this stage? I mean, if you're laying it on thick, it could matter. I mean, there's no tech. You can see right here, there's no texture, and it's because the paint is thin enough. Basically, if the paint's thin enough, and then it won't be an issue. Also, notice how I go back over areas, you know, that have been kind of more saturated with paint. You'll see me kind of keep going back over and spreading it out. And what this does is, well, while the paint is drying, it dries in the thinner areas first. And anywhere that there might be some thicker paint left behind will still be spreadable. So by kind of painting an area, then continuing to kind of go back over that area as it's drying, will just kind of ensure that you that you're not leaving behind any sort of noticeable brush strokes or anything like that. You know, if you went over an area with some thicker paint, that definitely would be a different story. Hey, good morning, D. Yeah, great question. Okay. I think those areas are looking pretty good. Let's do this arm and this leg. Actually, I don't know. We would do this arm and this leg, same spots, but I think we might just move forward. Let me let that dry. I'm going to go refill my coffee and let that dry, and we will move on to the next layers of color. We can kind of... I just want to focus on certain areas that we're just going to bring to the finish line so you can see the process that you would apply to the whole thing. So, because a lot of it's just repeating the same steps. I'll be right back.
Good day, dear friend. Your contribution to the growth of our kingdom is invaluable. Thank you for your devotion.
Hey. Thank you very much, PB. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. I appreciate that, my friend. 20 months. And T-Dollar, I got lost in the chaos and totally forgot to give you your wisdom if you're still there. I apologize, my friend. Thank you so much for the 19 months, Mr. T-Dollar. And PB with the 20 months. Let's see here. Oh. Let's see. Mermaid tears. Mermaid tears or mermaid tears? You got two different brands of mermaid tears. You got this one and this one. The one with the little picture or the one with just the words? Tough choice. You know, brand favoritism here. Picture. All right. Sold them on the pictures. Got him. Let's see what we got here. Some wisdom for you. Those who lift others often discover wings of their own. Those who lift others often discover wings of their own. Very good. Oh, thank you very much, PP, for the support. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so now we have these areas that are painted with a darker color here. You know what, let's do, on the torso, we're gonna do like a painted look where the metal was painted and there's parts of the metal kind of showing through. On these areas, we're gonna use we're painting it black first. So let's focus on this area here. So next step after the black is to use a whatever metallic color you would like to use. I'm going to use this aged pewter. I'll just give it a good mix. Do I have a lighter silver? Might have to go get a lighter colored metallic. These two are kind of darker. We'll start with this one though. Hey. I mean, if it happens out in the natural world, it's going to happen to us too, right? High tides and low tides, my friend. There'll be a season for hanging around here more. A season for being away and a season for hanging out here more. Embrace your challenges. Continue pushing forward. Alright, that should be good. I'm gonna take a dry brush. Learn from the challenges, that's right. Let not your suffering be in vain, but learn from it, grow from it. Suffering in life is guaranteed, but it does not have to be meaningless suffering. We can learn and grow. Okay, so basically I load up the brush with color. I wiped away the excess there. I always like to check it kind of on my skin here. You can see how faint it's leaving color behind there. And we're just going to lightly brush the color here. I'm going to brush more heavily on the area I want there to be less black and less heavily on an area where I want it to be a little bit darker. It's kind of like highlighting, see? See, I just created a really high highlight here and then a gradient down here. I'm going to do the same thing on this next layer here. You can change up the brushing direction on these smoother surfaces here. Looking pretty nice. Starts to get a little bit more faint though. See, that's like too faint, so that we have to repeat the steps. Load up the brush. Make sure there's no water whatsoever on that brush. It has to be completely dry. Be a little bit higher highlight here. This is aged pewter. Aged pewter. That's it. That's all we've done so far. What's up, Bula? Just black base coat. And then we're just gonna highlight. Now sometimes the brush should be a little bit more saturated with paint, and I'll just be careful to only touch the areas that I want more of a solid color until it becomes more faint, and then I move into those areas I want more of a gradient. This is the part where our texturing is doing us a favor by making it easier to do this kind of gradient here. Let's just work this whole area down here too. Just bringing all that detail back out. Alchemy. The Philosopher's Stone is required for this class. So when you start dark, you have to bring it light, and then we can start layering on top of that. When you start light, you have to add in the darkness. Okay. Yeah. It's already at a passable level here, just with 2 layers of paint. But we're of course going to push it further than that. I'm going to bring out a little bit more onto these, a bit more metallic here on these. Just bringing the lightness up. Maybe even a little bit more on these too. This is kind of like the undercarriage. I imagine like the oily part of the machine, right? The part that's nice and greased up, you know. Okay, let me think here. What colors we're gonna need next? I'm going to show a technique that'll really bring the metal effect out on these. I need to go get it, though. Let me go get we're going to get a brighter metallic color. And we're going to do something called edge highlighting next. Let me go grab that color, though. I'll be right back. Mr. Creature, how are you? All right, so we use a finer brush here. We got a nice little pointy brush. And we're going to use I have this polished silver color, which is pretty bright, and then also a honed steel. I think we'll go with the polished silver here. Oh, I'm doing great there, Mr. Creature. It's always good to see you, my friend. Okay. I need to unclog it. Always have an unclogging tool on hand. Okay. And we are just going to get the end of this wet, but not like completely saturated where when I touch, you don't want a big glob of paint to just kind of fall out. And we're just going to take this and we're going to run the kind of the edge of the brush along the edge of the highlight here. Or, right along the edge there. That was a little bit too much, so we're just going to remove it with our finger. And then anywhere that there's these scratch or damages too. La vida. It's called polished silver. Minus 15 points for not paying attention. Look, if you didn't react so good, then we wouldn't give you such a hard time. That's pretty much your own fault. All right, so just a little bit along the edge here. Anywhere we want those kind of edges to pop out. I like to do this part first before I do any of the washes. So the washes will kind of bring it all together. Yeah, black aged pewter dry brush, and then a polished silver highlight, or really any sort of brighter metallic. Usually you got like darker metallic colors and then brighter metallic colors. So you could use this same exact method, but for golds. But you, instead of black, you use it like a brown color. So it goes brown, or like a darker brown, gold, or brass color. And then like a brighter gold for the edge highlight. See that? Could even do a little bit of a dot on these rivets here, just towards one side. Just kind of like a forced little shine. Then we can get in here and do the same thing. It can help if you get the paint just a little bit more of water, so it flows a little nicer, but not too much. Just a little, just like get your brush wet. That's it. That's it. Not like a drip of water, but just a little bit wet. Oop. Here's a good comparison. So here's one side with just the dry brushing, and there's the side with the edge highlights. See that difference? I guess the thing you're thinking about when you do this is imagine when you have an old rusted object and then something hits it and reveals the metal underneath the surface, you know, like this kind of the like brand new metal. That's how you usually see it along the edges of something that's metal. The edges tend to be a little bit on the bright, especially something that's really tarnished. The edges will be a little bit on the brighter side from it kind of bumping into things and revealing that that new metal underneath. Hey, what's up, Baki? All right, we could push that more, but I'm just going to move on to the next techniques because this is all about just showing you guys and giving you the tools here. So let's see. What would I do next in this section? I would probably pick out areas of different color. So we have all these opportunities here, like these little different panels here, where we could add different colors, so it's not all the same, you know. So I think that would be a good place to start mixing in some different, and that could either be a actual painted color or it can be just a different variation of metallic. So let's see what we got here. Let's work with what we have here. Basalt gray. Ooh. I mean, I have some brass, but I'm not sure if I want to go with any brass on this one. I'm actually thinking like an olive green color as like parts of this that were painted. I could also see yellows, almost like those little caution strip things. Even an orange, like a lava orange. Oh, what's this one? Alchemical green. Ooh. That's probably too bright though. Muddy olive. It's too dark. Okay. Let's just work with that. You know, let's try let's start with an ogre skin here. How would you get a verd verdigris mint green? I mean, you can mix whatever green you have with white, but there's some colors you just can't mix. You know, like this color right here, you couldn't mix this color. This, oh wait, hold on. I just realized color filter needs to be. There we go. Like a really vibrant, bright green like this would be very difficult to mix, almost impossible. So you have to almost start with certain colors. You have to start with that you can't mix like primary colors together to get, you know. Especially when you start getting into like super vibrant, like a fluorescent color or something. You have to harvest that from the soul of the innocence. First, you must sip 3 glasses of bright green absinthe. Then you could begin the conjuring process. Like an aged metal patina green that looks mint too. Right, yeah. It's going to be very hard to mix that. But ultimately, the best way you can make a brighter green is start whatever green you have, add white. And I guess mint green kind of has a slight tinge of blue to it. So like a slightly bluish green with some white. And then it's hard to if it's not right, if you can't get it right with that mixture, it's going to be difficult to get, you know, like, because the vibrancy will get toned down a lot. So all right, let's start with this ogre skin here. Oh, that's not very mixed, is it? That'll have to do. I have a feeling this won't cover very well. Let's try. So I'm just going to paint these little panels here. Yeah, it's not. I guess that's doing okay. This one too. Probably gonna do 2 coats because this I didn't mix the paint very well, so it's not covering. A little bit translucent. Tarnished. Yeah, I mean the company that sells the rust that I use also has a like metal patina effect paint as well, which I've heard is very good. I haven't tried it though. All right, let's let that dry. This is not like perfect coverage here, but I'm not really worried about it because we don't want it to look super brand new and nice anyways. Okay, and then I'm going to paint this strip right here. This strip will be painted a solid color. This strip right here is going to be painted with a base coat of metallic first instead of black. And you're going to see that it's going to create a different result. That's also very nice. I'm just thinking we'll probably do like the aged pewter color as the base coat. Okay. And with each of these kind of color decisions, you're also designing your color kind of idea as you go. I'm thinking I'll have little accents of these yellow panels, and then I'll have larger areas of a solid color, which I think will be like a military green, like this olive green. So it'll be, areas where it's like oily metal, metal trim, that's a different, not non-oily metal. The area of the base color, which will be green, which will be like here, these like larger panels that are painted. Yeah, and that's kind of and then these little panels of yellow, so little accent panels. Okay, let's do. Now with metallic colors don't like to be like added once you add a little bit of water to metallics, they tend to flow a lot differently. So I usually don't wet my brush when I do metallic stuff. I just want to lay it on nice and thick here. No C3PO color. That's a high society robot. If you wanted to get like a super reflective finish, there's different strategies you have to use. Okay, I'll switch to a smaller brush here to get the edge looking real nice here. Hey, Naf, how you doing? Hey, what's up, Funka? Patricia. Okay, let's switch back to our bigger brush. Yeah, these are water-based paints, acrylic. Hey, Colin. How you doing, my friend? That's my nephew, Mr. Colin. All right, let's base coat this color here, which I think will be green. I could see like a sky blue looking nice too, but I think I'm gonna go with a green. Let's try this one, this olive green. Right now we're just base coating. We're gonna hit these other areas with other types of color. But for right now we're just getting a base color going.
Closely, traveler, to what I say. Twitch Prime does not even cost a dime.
Hey, Sort K, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Thank you very much for supporting my work. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Welcome. I'm not going to paint over the magnets. I want to leave those exposed. You know what? We'll go ahead and paint up here too. If you're unsure, it's okay to color it anyways, and then we can change the color later. Nothing wrong with that. We'll go in and we'll do this edge here. I could probably do it with the brush. Would olive green look weird with patina light green? I don't know. I say just try it and see how it looks. I honestly think there's no wrong choices when it comes to color. You need to experiment and find out what colors you like to go together. Now, I will say my choice of green here was strategic because I'm telling a story here of this kind of robot that's designed as like an exploratory robot. And so I figured they would paint it almost like a little bit more of like a camouflaged color. So to kind of blend into its surroundings. And then also I'm thinking about it from not just from a storyteller's perspective, but artistically, I know that the base is going to be more of like these orangey tones. It's going to be like this red rocks kind of look. And I just think that the green would look really nice next to that orange. So Chris, I need an advice. How do you usually go about creating tiny spines, like for insect mouth parts and such? So far, I've just been sticking some wire in the part and then just painting over it. But it's not very realistic for bigger pieces. Okay. So, you can try to form the pieces out of clay and bake them and then attach them. Or if you need to get really detailed with it, you need to create some sort of a structure that you can sculpt on top of and build off of. So, but it depends on how small they are, you know. Are you talking about like? Let me set him down here. Let me see. Like the mandibles of an insect? Let's see. You know what's good to do, Levita, is to just paint a certain area of the character, like in the theme that you're thinking to go for, and then that way you're not committing to it over the whole character. And if, like for example, if I painted this this section of the character has all of the components of the entire character, right? So if I would just paint this with what I'm thinking, if this looks good, the rest of it will look good. If this doesn't look great, I can just keep making changes to this till I like how it looks, then apply it to the rest. I'm creating mantis claws. I see. And how large are they? Are they like really small? Like, let me see here. Okay, so let's see here. The part that has the spines is like an inch long. Okay, so let's see. Let's bring up this. So you're talking about like this part is an inch or this part is an inch right here. The femur or the tibula? Oh, look at it. He's got a little tarsus. The second one. The femur. Okay. About an inch. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you're just going to have to create an armature. Yeah. So I would start with really thin gauged wire twisted up. And then I might do a little bit of clay on top and then flatten it out like this part. Imagine adding like a snake of clay onto the armature, and then you smush it kind of flat, and then bake it. Then you go over with another layer of clay and do all the detail and texturing and add these little spikes and stuff like that. But I would sculpt it one segment at a time, or I would hold here and hold here while I sculpt here. Bake it, and then now I can hold here while I sculpt here. Sculpt this part, bake it. Don't try to do all three of these segments in one bake. I would break it up, and I would create the armature, maybe add a slight base layer of clay, being very careful not to add too much because you need to leave room for the sculpting. Just enough so it gives your next layer something to hold on to. And then once you have that, start doing a detail layer over these three sections one at a time. That's exactly how I'm doing it. Heat gunning it in the process. Okay, well, I mean, you're on the right path. You just need to, you just need to continue. Yeah, just continue. That looks nice. Yeah, because you can see there's some significant volume here. So definitely plenty of volume to work with. This area might get a little bit harder, but... Or like these little longer spines coming out here. Those ones might have to be made out of like wire or something. Or you just kind of, if you can't get them to look good, then you artistically decide to leave them out. You know what I mean? Most people aren't praying mantis specialists and wouldn't notice, All right, back to painting. Okay. Okay, so we're getting our base color here. Kind of that like army tank green. I like how that looks. This is all under the backpack here. But we're going to go ahead and paint it anyways, just in case. Poor robot. So exposed. All right, that looks good. Color filter is off. Let's see. Cameras just display color differently. Let's see. It's filter. That's the paint. That's painting filter too. Yeah. You're not ever gonna be able to see the true color through your camera that your eye will see. This one's pretty close. It seems like it's different because this color is now next to this color, whereas before you didn't see that this was like a. This is starting to read more green because it's next to this color, not because of the filter changing. Yeah. Does that make sense? That shows you actually the importance of how colors react to each other when they're next to each other. See, that's a good showing of how having a detachable piece makes life a lot easier. All the edging work on this won't have to be done. This will probably get the same treatment as this strip here. Okay, next step. I think we're going to mess around with washes now. Show you guys how we kind of approach these areas. What's this? This one. Okay. I'm going to take honed steel. This is a metallic. Actually, before we do our washes. I'm going to kind of add the areas of the paint that kind of chipped back and expose the metal under the paint. So we're going to start with just a nice metallic here. We're just going to define these little areas here. These will also be the spots where the rust will come from. So there's a method to figuring out where these kind of spots should be. It's usually coming from edges or seam lines is going to be more prominent. I can also see a little bit more metallic on these bolts here. Just staying focused on this section just to kind of show the technique. But again, we will be kind of applying this all over. There we go. Okay, now I take that lighter, that true silver or that polished silver color, and we edge highlight these metal flaked areas here. I have a finer brush. We'll make it work. That's going to make those kind of pop out a little bit more. This is an original character, original design. There we go. Okay. Now I'll mess around with some washes next. Maybe some rust effects. Let me grab what we need here. Rust. Some strong tone that'll look like kind of like oil. All right, let's give that a go. So we got some strong tone by the Army Painter. Now, the replacement for this would just be kind of like a brownish black wash, which means you make the color you want. This is the color of your grime and your dirt. So experiment with whatever. And you add a lot of water to it to get it thinned. This one you can't just mix. This is called an effect paint. We're going to be using rust. If you want to try to simulate rust, there's ways to paint using just oranges and browns to kind of simulate rust. We're going to be using this because it's a lot easier and more effective. You know, I'll probably start with the rust. Very crucial to mix this very thoroughly here. Sometimes even with like a mixing stick. Does any pieces you glue on after you oven ever fall? It can. You mean like you finish sculpting and now you're gluing pieces on with like super glue? It certainly can if you don't have enough of a mechanical lock, or depends on the position of it, you know, like is it in like a very exposed area, the pieces you're gluing on? But like say for example, you have like a little spike that you're going to be gluing on, and it's just you're gluing the spike onto a flat surface like this. Instead of just gluing it directly on, what you could do is drill a tiny hole in both directions, one going into the piece and one going into the back of the spike. Then you glue it, and then there's going to be much more of like a stronger mechanical lock going on there. You could even add a little pin or like a little piece of wire or dowel rod into that hole. So there's ways to make those bonds stronger. You just have to think more of like not relying solely on the glue, but also trying to create these mechanical locks. So all right, this should be good. Let's give this a try. So we're going to use the rust effects, and we're just going to we're going to create some rust on these parts where the paint has kind of come off. I'm going to cover this. I'm also going to make it so it's like dripping down, and then I'm going to smear it like that. Also, I have a piece that's been sitting on my desk that I haven't ovened for over a year. Will it crack in the oven? It shouldn't. If it's gonna crack, it already has. Or you should already see it in the raw clay. But if it's solid in the raw clay and then you bake it, it should end up solid through the bake too. Cover silver completely. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a slightly translucent. You're still seeing some of the silver peek through the rust. Unless the paint actually fell off recently, though, it would be rusted there. Wherever the paint has come off, exposed. Can even take some of this and we'll put it here. And then we'll make kind of a rusty wash. So I'm just going to add some water to this to thin it out. I'm just going to kind of go over these seam line areas here. Just add some dirtiness. Yeah, that's pretty good. Easy to get too carried away with the rust. All right, next we're going to use a strong tone. And feel free to go back and forth with any of these effects. You just kind of, if it's too much, you go back in with the metallic or the green and do a little bit back and forth. This would be like a darker wash, so you could use like a dark brown or black and create a wash. This is also an effect paint, though. It does respond a little bit differently than a normal wash. You'll see it here in a minute. It's like a more controlled substance for washes. We're going to use it to kind of build up some griminess. So it just is very slightly tinting it a little bit darker, a little bit like an oil look. Like an oiled metal look. Could even see putting some of that down here. These are the well-greased parts. Nice and greased.
Fellow adventurer, we've got everything you need to rest and refuel.
Scramboozle. Thank you very much for the 3 months there, Scramboozle. I very much appreciate that. Now to kind of get rid of the brushed on look here, I'm just gonna tap it with the paper here. Just kind of neutralize any unevenness without removing any see that? All right, let me get you your wisdom there, Scramboozle. One-eyed eyes. Trust is forged slowly, like a masterwork blade. Impatience only weakens the metal. So very true, isn't it? Thank you very much for your support, Scramboozle. Okay, at this point you guys can see the painting techniques coming into effect here. So basically we will just apply this over the whole character, the metal parts, just focus on the metal parts. And just doing more washes, more rust, more edge highlighting, and base coating, just like I showed. This kind of section kind of sums up the look I'm going to be going for. Just with a little bit more refinement, but that'll at least get things rolling. So, do you add water to a brown black mixture if it's regular paint? You can add water or a thinning medium. Water works just fine. Basically, you want it to not. You just want to create translucency with the. I mean, I could show you. Let's see here. Let's see if I have a color we can use. I mean, I could probably even use this black here, since it's already a weaker black. So I'm just going to use some of this black paint here. And we're going to thin it out with some water. That's pretty thin. And we're just going to brush it on. Yeah, it looks very similar. It just flows a little bit different than the one I was using, the toner. And we'll dab it with the paper towel here. And you can build up layers like this. So you know, I can let that dry, and then we go in again, and we kind of can create a really nice gradient doing methods like this. So you're starting with a base color, and then you're like almost like doing watercolors on top. Right. So we start with a lighter color, and we're getting it darker, and you can see the different look it has compared to this. You know, this is more of like an aluminum trim type look, and this is more of like a old greased metal. You know. That's right. You gotta let them dry completely, or when you go on with another layer that's wet, it will, or it can cause issues. Dab it with the paper towel here. That's some nice sootiness there. There we go. I should give you guys plenty of work to do before our next painting lesson. I know I have plenty to do now. So there's a good chance next week will just be us kind of doing more of this to get basically the whole robot painted. Other than I'll go over the cloak, the metal parts, and the base is what we'll be looking at getting into next time. I can see for like the rubber around the neck here, like that we leave that black and we just maybe dry brush a little bit of a gray on there, but that's it. But yeah, that's a good start. I'm happy with that. All right, let's jump over into Discord. I like painting robots or things that are made out of metal. I've always enjoyed that type of painting. It's pretty relaxed, and it's easy. It is easy to get a good result if you use those techniques. That's right. We're gonna look at Discord next. Let's see here. So before we start our next lesson, we need to have everything painted except the base and the cloak. And we'll address those painting those parts in the kind of like the finishing touches with the paintwork in the next lesson. Let's see here. All right, let's jump over to Discord here, see what you guys have been up to. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, we got no updates for our robots. Let's check out dragons here. Patricia. Just a couple days doing some alterations. He's not looking so spiky. which makes him more comfortable to hold. I also fixed the front paw, and I hope they look better. And I also sorted the creases on the back of the wing. I did both, although he didn't need it as much. Okay, all right, let's see. Let's take a look. Ah, yeah, see, much better. That's not catching your eye right away. That's smoothed in much better. There's not this, like, exaggerated drop-off, you know. Really good. Nice job, Patricia. All right. Yeah, I think the front paws are reading much better as well. Very good. Awesome. Yeah, it's looking really nice. Excellent work, Patricia. Keep it up. All right, we got a gremlin update. Oh, no, we don't have gremlin update. All right, cool. Well, that's it. Short and sweet. Anytime you guys are joining the classes, you can post your work in the Discord. I look forward to doing more painting work on this, for sure. Perhaps maybe I'll get some more work in today. I don't know. We'll see what we got on the agenda. But anyways, let's see here. I think we're going to get on out of here and I'll carry on with my weekend day here. And yeah. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you, anyone who stuck around from the huge raid. Appreciate you guys. True metallic metals. Wait, can you put the robots? Have you seen the new Vallejo paints, True Metallics? I haven't. No, I haven't. There's so many paints out there. So many like effect paints and texture paints and all that stuff. It's impossible to try them all. You know what we do? We kind of have our base set of paints. And you're just always constantly adding new techniques and new things to your kind of your lineup, if you will. So I'll have to check it out, though. Let's see here. Who do we have on? Who can we raid? A lot of my strategies when it comes to painting my work is trying to find effect paints and strategies that can produce a good result that don't take hundreds of hours to do, because there's just usually there's just no time budget left to be able to spend hundreds of hours on a paint job. That's just the reality. And you'll see this applied to like Sideshow Collectibles and the way that they paint their stuff. It's the same thing. They're using a lot of strategy to get a really good result that does not need to take hundreds of hours to achieve, you know. So I like to also, you know, like in the miniature painting world, you're dealing with much smaller canvas sizes. And here you're dealing with much larger surface areas and canvas sizes. So we need to approach them differently. Otherwise, you end up stuck on a paint job that will take months to complete, and that's just not sustainable. So I always try to focus on what are some strategies we can do that don't take long, but also give us really nice looking result. You know, that's always been my focus. Because there are ways to paint that look really awesome, but also take a very long time to do. So let's see here. What can we raid? Stevie Seal, Model Room Antics. Let's go raid Stevie Seal. Working on some model stuff. Yeah. All right, let's get this raid going. I think there's only like 5 people in there, so this should be quite the surprise. All right, my friends. Till next time. Bye-bye.